We're ready to call the meeting to order, I think. Thank you all for being here again. This is our last meeting. Promise. So I went through the I went through the meeting materials that Laura sent out, and I had a few comments. I hope everybody else did too, to make sure that what is captured is what we all agreed to. And the first thing I had to discuss was item 345, which the new 345, the latest. The numbers, I don't know if anybody else knows this, but numbers changed a little bit in some areas. If 345 is okay, so the matrix is correct. It shows it's deleted and not adopted, but it's not in table 1. 555.15. The matrix is correct, but I didn't. The matrix is correct, but table 1E doesn't. It's not, I didn't see that in table 1E. Okay. Okay, and then let's see. In item 380. Okay, so this same. Okay, well, I had that was just deleted, and that's what you have. And then 393 was tabled. I think you just said it wasn't done yet, but Mike was gonna said not yet reviewed. This is the swimming pool thing, the TIA.
Yes.
I thought we said that it was going to be good to go if the TIA passed. He said it just gets integrated into our code.
Well, what about the existing language if the TIA doesn't pass?
Fine.
Okay.
There was not much change in the existing language.
Okay. So I don't think we took that action. So we could take it. This is on 680.26a. So you want to make a motion to adopt changes in 680.26a.
That would be my motion.
Okay. Okay. Everybody okay with that? Do we need to look at it all? No. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that is now, if the TIA, I think the question of what happens when there's a TIA is, I don't know if they automatically get adopted. We have to do something. Board has to adopt them. So, you know, the code changes.
So question, those TIAs happen throughout the year. I don't remember us ever addressing TIAs.
We have been doing it properly.
Yeah. It's a substantial change.
There's a lot of TIAs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of TIAs that happen.
Is it printed, the one for that section? Is it located on their website?
It's vote closed yesterday, so we're getting posted.
Okay.
It's almost ready for public comment.
It is on the website in the current edition page, a list of all the pending TIAs and then the ones.
Oh,
So I'll print that and post it on our committee page.
I mean, it's not the only one. It was a pretty significant one. Then on 391, which is 680.21c in table 1E. It's not a big deal, but it would be good to get it right. I told you about this last time too. Wait a minute. 21. You gotta figure out how to follow that to the old numbering. What happened to it? 8021C is not table 1E, but it was. Oh no, you've got,
Some ambient noise.
oh, it's the new 435. That's what. Numbers all got changed. Yeah. So it's 70702.7. A. So have you got that up in table 1E? Can you put it on the screen? Seven oh two 702.7A. Okay, in the text, it says a sign shall be placed at all service entrance equipment. The next word is for, that word should be deleted. But we just say at all service entrance equipment that indicates the type and location of each. And let's see. Okay, so 341 is the datum plane stuff that we tabled. And Ethan Damon did some research and I wrote a little, did you put that in the table or do you have it? Do you have that? Yes.
I have it. I'll pull it up.
Just sort of a little, it would be an amendment to 90.4D that explains how the datum plane is established. And then my suggestion is that we just, the datum plane is established by the building official through this person that's called a floodplain administrator or something. That we just leave the requirements in the NEC are not exactly the same as in FEMA. They might be, in some cases, FEMA might be a foot above the datum plane, and then the NEC might be 2 feet above the datum plane. And talking to Keith, we decided to just not try to change the NEC language to align with FEMA, but just to say that the datum plane is established. This is how you establish it. You just follow the rules in the NEC, and we'll see how that works for the cycle. And if it's a problem, then we can amend it in mid-cycle or afterwards. But I think I'm hoping that the differences are that the NEC is maybe requiring a greater distance than FEMA does, but that's okay. We can just comply with that. Maybe maybe the panelists that did that work understood that and did it intentionally. I don't know. We sort of have to assume that they did because everybody's got the same issue. So, yeah, so there it is. It's a new sentence at the bottom of 90.4D that says, the datum plane as used throughout the OESC shall be the design flood elevation as determined by the flood plan administrator in accordance with the OSSC or ORSC as applicable. The language in the residential code is really straightforward. The language in the commercial code is more convoluted, but they both talk about design. They both talk about design flood elevation and floodplain administrator, floodplain administrator. Well, so I would suggest that we adopt that additional amendment. to the OA.
So moved.
Okay, and that item 341 is about a specific location where this datum plane is used, but it's not the only place where it's used. So by putting it in 90.4, it's sort of covering the whole, anywhere you encounter it. That'll work.
Can we add informational notes at those points that say reflect us back to 90.4?
We can, but it's going to be a lot of work. I mean, it's like 25 places.
It's gonna be
Guess I
very-
should stop short.
No one's gonna really, they're gonna look at the code and not think to look back at 90.4 where there's, I mean, if it was in that section of the OESC and they,
Right.
everyone notes it.
Well, another option is put it in definitions. I thought about that after I sent that email then a user of the code should encounter this term that they don't understand, go look in definitions and find it. And I think that there's not a definition of datum plane in here.
Definition?
Sure. I think so. Page 35. We could just put that in Article 100 instead of 90.4. I think it's a.
Sure, there is a definition of electrical data plane on page 37.
Electrical datum plane is not the term that they use elsewhere.
And, Mr. Chair, I noticed that that plan administrator or plane administrator,
Yeah.
the spelling on that didn't correlate with what the plane is,
Right.
or plane.
Sorry, I can't quite hear you.
Electrical datum plane spelled in the NEC is PLANE, and datum
Oh,
plan administrator is PLAIN.
yeah.
I think it needs to be PLANE.
Well, in the building code, it's PLAIN.
Interesting.
So I think, I mean, are we talking about a floodplain or are we talking about a plane? Yeah.
Plane.
Yeah. Well, can you put that back up there? I don't know if it. I don't know if the term used is electrical datum plane or just datum plane. Let's look at this one, for example. 177B, yeah. It's used in a bunch of other places. Yeah, it's called the electrical datum. Well, we could amend that. We could amend that definition. Would we just replace it with this definition? Would that be acceptable? Or do we try to work it into this definition?
Through the chair, Nathan, I like how you've got it here in 90.4. Could we put a note in 100 that points to 90.4?
Why not just put it in 100?
Yeah, you could.
I mean,
But
what's the
yeah.
percentage of that from your perspective?
Well, I like it. I like the, where we're talking about occupancy classifications and use, and trying to point toward the other Oregon codes to, regulate those kind of things. I like those in one place. Because they're, I don't know, like we're talking about not changing, the NEC too much, changing what the definition of the datum plane is, but more focusing them on a different code, to look at the definition of it or who regulates this datum plane.
Okay.
That's just my thought on it.
Yeah. So we would put an informational note at the definition that says C OAR 90.4D, something like that, or Oregon.
OESC, yeah, 90.4.
Yeah, C OESC 90.4D, 90.4D. Okay, so I don't think we took action on this change to this new change to 90.4. So any discussion of that?
Just, does it need to say on our note, or typed it in at one point, electrical datum plane, does it need to say electrical datum plane or datum?
We
Back in
probably,
90.4.
yeah, back in 90.4.
Right there where her cursor is.
Yeah, probably the electrical datum plane. Yeah.
So we're talking about leaving it there and putting an information note under electrical datum plane to see OESC.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's me there.
Okay, so we can do both of these in one action. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Make sure we get this. Maybe see OESC 90.4D. Or information. Additional information is what they usually say. Okay, does that work for you, Keith?
Yeah, I think that's, we didn't change any definitions, but it points us where we need to look. Yeah.
Okay, so.
So, Mike, does that work for you? Is that what you were looking?
Yep, I'm on board.
Okay.
It's interesting that plane,
Yeah.
how you spell it,
Plane or plane.
two different words. Yeah. Okay, let's see. These other things were just editorial, so I think we're ready to charge ahead here. And we should. Go ahead.
Through the chair, I had one other thing I just wanted to think about. That the listing requirements for zip ties, is throughout the code. Is there any place that we could put something right at the beginning, just in one place that says when the NEC requires listing on zip ties, Oregon does not, or something like that, just in one spot? Because I think there's a dozen places, where it's mentioned.
Well, it seems like it belong in 110.
Or we could go through, like we did before. The other option is to, put each section in the table 1E, and strike it.
We have done that, although we might have missed one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'd have to go back and undo all of those. And then, I mean, we could put it in 110.3C on listing or something like that. You guys think about that? About inspectors. The rest, the contractors are just, we don't think about it in as much detail as the listed anyway.
Which section are you talking, Nathan?
Well, somewhere in 110.3, maybe. Maybe 110.3B. This is equipment that's not listed, so that's the right place. Maybe it goes in A, I don't know. I mean, this amendment to 90.4 that we're doing doesn't really belong in 90.4D either, so it's doesn't exactly make sense. That would actually fit in 90.4D better than some of this other stuff we've been doing. Kind of a big project at this stage. Undo all that, back and undo all of the amendments we've already done. And,
We did the first one under just one item. We had them all listed.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We changed them all to that.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have to do it that way. The only reason I thought it might be a better way to do that is that we could, miss one or two. They stick them here and there, and there's quite a few places, kind of like the datum plane, the same kind of issue that.
Where's the one item that we did that on?
I think it was at the very beginning. But I'll have to see if I can spot it here. But it listed all the different areas.
It's on the matrix under 172 there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there we go.
This isn't in table 1E. Now 315.40. Okay, got it. Sorry. Did you go to all of these other sections and make the same change? Is that how you did it? Because it's not in table 1 either way the note is. So must have done that. In 320, yeah. So they're all listed in the matrix, but the changes are actually in each of the individual sections. Like if you
Right,
look,
yeah.
look at 1E, it's not all in one place. like in 315.40, 320.30, 330.30. Just they're in all of those sections. You have to undo all of those changes.
No, if you,
Could we
th-
put
th-
100.11? Hearing and supporting?
300.11.
No.
Where in 300.11?
Under A, maybe? Grid in place?
Or- Well, I would say, does anybody have you had sections that we missed that we didn't amend that we? I mean, working, what we got is working. Putting it in one place is more easily overlooked than not, since we've already done it. I'd say if we want to undo this, maybe we should do it next time. Get close to being done. We'd have to go back and open every one of those and do it, figure out where to put it. But
Yeah, I concur. I think it adds clarity to each section. Otherwise, an inspector could be inspecting that section and see if we didn't address cable ties in that section. We therefore write up, they need to be listed. Unless there's some blanket statement somewhere that we refer to, which we still have to refer to in every section, which is what we're doing.
yeah, right. Yeah, we'd have to put an informational note. In.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I recommend we just leave it where we have it.
Okay. Anybody disagree with that besides Keith?
I'm good with it. Whatever you guys want to do.
Okay. Okay, we'll leave that alone for now. Did anybody else have anything in the matrix or the table 1E that you wanted to talk about that we've done so far?
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
did. Yeah. In 210.8F,
You in the, which document are you in?
I'm in the table 1E.
10.8F.
Yeah. I'm in table 1E.
That's the outdoor receptacles thing.
This is one that we opened back up last meeting and changed it. The way it's worded here, if I read out of table 1E, outdoor receptacles, all outdoor general purpose receptacles supplied by single phase branch circuits rated 150 volts or less to ground, 50 amps or less shall be provided with GFI protection. And then there's a list, 3 list items there.
Mhm.
It's just a little, the way it's, I guess, with those list items being in there.
Were we supposed to delete those two?
That's what I thought I had
Sounds
written down
right.
as the notes. But I want to bring that up because it's kind of,
Well, we deleted the following locations, so it doesn't,
right.
yeah, they're just kind of.
Doesn't make sense to have those 3 items there unless we put, at the end of the GFI protection, only in the following locations or something, if you want to add that back in, but.
No, because we wanted to capture more than that.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. Everybody agree with that? Or can you put that up and show us?
Which section?
210.8F.
Mhm.
To the chairman,
Yes.
so was it that we were going to scratch all the 3 of those?
Well, we deleted the language in the following locations, so what do they refer to? You know,
Okay, now, so does that if we're scratching those, does that scratch like accessory buildings?
No, because it says all outdoor. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because those aren't outdoor anyway.
So,
Well, I don't
so
know.
that's a change then? That's typically something I've seen that's been missed, like there might be some confusion with the industry out there. An accessory building being required to have GFI protection, and quite often they're not, and it's a correction. So I'm just trying to verify that.
Well, I thought that was sort of duplicated, but. Well, this section originally, as written in the code currently, is just for dwelling units. That what you're thinking of too, dwelling units? I thought they added,
Mr. Chair, in
Yeah.
210.8B, number 10, they do have garages, accessory buildings in similar bays and similar
Okay.
areas for dwelling units.
So it's a little redundant then.
But
210.8B, that's other than dwelling. unit.
correct, excuse me, other than dwelling. Units. 210.8F is talking about outdoor, originally it talked about outdoor outlets, and it wanted GFCI protect not only the receptacles, but also the outlets, lighting outlets for areas outside areas, outside garages, accessory buildings and boathouses. So they not only wanted GFCI protect the outdoor receptacles, but they wanted to protect the outdoor outlets because of proximity to water. Where we took that section and changed the outlets to receptacles and did a lot of things, but we failed to delete those 3 sections that are required. We deleted in the following locations, but we didn't actually delete the locations that are referencing to.
But I think what Jim is pointing out is that, oh, wait, what about 210.8A two?
Yeah.
Garages and also accessory buildings that have a floor located at or below grade level,
So
intended as habitable rooms.
that's the difference between commercial and, in a sense, and dwelling units.
Yeah, so that captures it in both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
But
good.
the problem, to Brian's point, is A is just receptacle.
Correct.
The intent, I think, was in those locations, we wanted everything to be GFI protected, outlets and receptacles.
But I think
No,
initially, when we changed this back in a code cycle ago, we were okay with not requiring the outlets to be GFCI protected as well.
So if that's the case, if that's where this group wants to go, we could just add accessory buildings to A, right? In the list items?
it's already there.
If it's already there, then we're covered.
Garages and also accessory
Then we
buildings.
can strike it.
And boathouses.
SA9,
A2.
10A2.
I thought the intent with us changing this to 10.8F was to incorporate all outdoor general
Receptacles.
receptacles, right? That weren't covered in A or B, maybe. So this would be like the
Yeah.
food carts, the other stuff that people are plugging in
Right.
everywhere else, right?
that are general purpose.
Yeah. For all locations,
Yeah.
not just the ones listed.
This would prevent boathouses. An electrician would not have to GFI protect the outlets, the light outlets. Way we're doing this.
Any outlets, any receptacles either, unless it's in B.
That's what I'm bringing up. Boathouses are a pretty specialty thing. Do we want to not GFI protect everything in a boathouse?
Isn't it in 555?
It is.
I-55 is covered boathouses.
I think so.
Channel 2's effort to duplicate everything as much as they can, just in case someone misses. I-55 includes boatyards, yeah. And we did we delete GFCI protection in boat?
No, boat hoists. Let's see, 35.
Our only changes in 555 were to the feeder GFCI protection and then the emergency electrical disconnect. So if they're already required, then
I think they already are in B, 35B on branch circuits.
requiring GFPE and
It's the EE board.
where's both? Hoist. Or other than floating buildings, boatyard, a boathouse. We're talking about boat houses, not boatyard.
Read the chair,
Yeah.
floating buildings, part 3. And 555.53 requires
Can you speak a little louder, please?
floating buildings, part 3 in Article 555.
Oh, yeah. Is that the same thing as a boathouse? Says it.
That's how
It's
we,
a boathouse.
that's how we interpret a floating building, or that's how we interpret a boathouse as a floating building. If it's on the water.
So when in Article 210, where the term boathouse is used, that refers to a boat, to a floating building? Don't know that. You know that?
I don't know.
You just look quick and see if that term is used elsewhere.
What section were you in, Brian, looking at?
I was back in Article 100, definitions.
Oh, we found it in there? No. Oh, you were hoping to find it in there.
We generally think of floating of boat houses as houses that have boats, and houseboats as boats that are house.
But houses that have boats would, I guess, are by definition floating, but they don't have to be floating. Right?
Correct. Houses that have boats is like a boat garage.
But that doesn't have to be a floating building.
Correct.
Oh,
But then if it wasn't floating, then 555.35 other than floating buildings would apply, and you still have to have the feeders BFPE protected at the very least.
What about 555?
well, if you look at the charging statement, it says for other than floating buildings. So floating buildings are exempted from this section. And if you look at the charging, the scope of the article, oh, it does include boat houses, floating buildings and boat houses. So they would be included. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll buy that. See how many times the boathouse actually used. Only shows up in 4 locations pretty often. Okay, so the conclusion is that boathouses are covered in 555. Therefore, we could delete, and garages are already covered and accessory buildings are already covered. So we could delete that 1, 2, and 3. And I think that is what we intended to do. And I think that is what we in fact did do. So. Okay, anything else? Anybody else catch anything?
That was a good catch. Yeah.
Okay, so now we are on, I think we're now ready to do line 480 on the matrix, which is 800.24. This is so this was revised to, the matrix says it was revised to allow the use of cable ties, which means that we might have the listed problem. Supporting Keith's notion that we should just do this in one place. Yeah, it's got the cable ties shall be listed and identified for use as securement and support, so we want to amend that out. But everything else is okay in this mechanical execution of work section. Okay, so we're going to approve the follow code NEC amend out. Okay. Same as before.
Through the chair,
Yes.
just a question on your cable ties being listed, identified. Could that be the cable ties like the white and the black being one's UV rated and the other one is not?
I don't know the answer to that. Keith, can you respond to that?
It would still, if you had, like you're talking about a lot of platinum ceiling or something, and they needed to be nylon, that would be a different issue. It's just that they're not required to be listed, for the securement, is what we modified. So they can use the ones from, the hardware store or whatever for normal use. Is that your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, the listed part of it, that they weren't taking out the UV rating if they were using it for support for like outdoor cable.
Right. Products need to be used, according to what they're designed to be used for, but the ties were getting kind of close to requiring the building studs to be listed to run wire through them. We just felt like it was going a little bit too far, on that. Usually none of the other items on that list are required to be listed. It was just the one item for some reason that was required.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're we're adding an amendment to 800.24 that removes the requirement for listing because we don't think that they need to be listed. I mean,
Be consistent with the rest.
can't hear you.
To be consistent with the rest of our cable tie language.
Why have we done this everywhere else? I mean, we're trying to develop statements for what we're doing, so this would be a good time. This would capture a lot of these. Because we think that unlisted cable ties are sufficiently robust for cables. I don't know much.
I believe it was that when we were looking at it, we couldn't find cable ties that were listed for NM cable specifically or listed for like phone cable specifically.
Doesn't say that they have to be listed for, it just says listed for securement and support.
Yeah, and that's what I believe when we were discussing it before, they didn't have that kind of listing.
Is that still the case?
I've found a couple that had some type of listing, but I don't remember specifically. They weren't like readily available though.
Well, that's a good reason. Listed products are not readily available.
Mhm.
True? We don't know. What do you know, Mike? Anything? Because they're not required. It's not something you've asked about.
We've never worried about it.
Yeah.
The minute we put that in our statement, we'll have a manufacturing here saying we have them.
Well,
So through the chair, I'm going back like 3/20/30 and, reading some of the others. And it's the only one in the list there that's required to be listed and identified, for secure and support. It says staples and then the cable ties that are to be listed. Then it says straps, hangers or similar fittings. So the only one that is picked out of that list, or these list of items to secure, to be specifically listed for something, were the cable ties.
Yeah.
And this is actually one that building codes stepped in, and I think originally it was approved, and building codes stepped in and changed this one.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of 824, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next one is 481, which is 800.47. This looked like a significant, this is a change on the underground communications cables entering buildings. The limited CATV type coaxial cables. I don't know why this is considered to be a significant change when the other changes in this. Does anybody have any issues with this change? No concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then for 35 is 85 is 81, 482, sorry. Eventually, it's 800.48. This is, so I see 47 has a bunch of subsections too. .48 is unlisted cables entering buildings. It looks to me like what they did is they reorganized this whole section a bunch. And there's, I don't know if these are changes or not. I don't know this section of the code well enough to know. Did they change anything or did they just reorganize it? Same thing with 48. Any issues about 48, 800.48? Like the same, we've been inspecting and enforcing. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nathan, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I need to, I had a conflict today. I needed to step out for a little while, and I'll be back probably after lunch. So anyway, apologize, but I'll return as quick as I can.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Okay, 483 is 800.100 B2. They added the rounded interior metal water piping system as an acceptable grounding electrode. Or bonding location, I guess. Seemed okay to me. Anybody have any issues? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 437. 805 170A is add listing requirement for the primary protector. Whether that's going to be a problem or not, you know, this stuff is primary protector for communication circuits. And, you know, this kind of stuff is sort of typically kind of utility grade, not always listed. I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. Um, Experience, you kind of buy that stuff from else other than electrical distributors. Know what, if you guys are even installing that kind of thing. You inspecting that kind of thing, inspectors?
What's that?
Are you inspecting those things, primary protectors, and communication circuits?
The communication circuits we usually see are usually in a server type room where they have the ground, they have a grounding system very much established.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually, it looks like a regular grounding electrode system versus a primary protector.
Uh-huh. Well, I don't know, we'll see. If it's a problem, I guess we'll hear about it. Everybody okay with recording listing of these?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Before we get too far, do we need to address 800.170 or cable tie language?
I think you skipped.
Oh, we did what, we did 24, but not 170.
What's that? Oh, okay, we got it. We got it. We're okay.
Did we get it?
Yes.
We had already done it previously. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're on 485, which is 800. You get up to 487. Did I go out of order?
You went
again?
out of order.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering, you caught me off. You did 487, which was the last one. You need to go back to 484.
Okay, 487. So
487 is okay, we just did it.
that's 437.
I see a window, these three we didn't. 44, 45, 46.
I think I'm getting mixed up because I'm using the old numbers. I need to hide that column. Okay. That's my problem. That's why I'm, okay, 484, that's one reason why. 800.100 E3, we did B2 already, right? We did that. This is what you do if you don't have an intersystem bonding termination. They added. I'm telling you, you can't use steam pipes, hot water pipes, or lightning protector systems. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 484. Now we go to 485, which is 800.133. A whole new, everything's new, so that usually means it's reorganized. I don't know what the implications of it are. Not familiar enough with the section to know. See any issues with it? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We go to 486, which is 800.170. Cable ties. We object to listing these ties and plenums for low smoke.
That needs to stay.
Seem like kind of a different situation than our others.
That'd be similar to like UV.
So we'll leave that one alone. The,
To the chair.
yes,
Maybe I'm missing something here, but line 485, it's saying added section to consolidate common requirements with 805, 133, and 120, 133, and I don't even see those sections in 805 or 120 or 820.
well, they were in there. It's probably, I have to look at the previous edition, or is that what you're doing?
This is the new.
Yeah, so probably those referring to the sections in the previous edition that were
Okay.
consolidated.
Okay.
I'm just guessing. Damon's looking here.
Okay.
It was in 805. Part 4. So they're just getting them into one. I think there's a lot of effort in general to get these things consolidated.
Yeah.
Make it more confusing for us than it is. I don't know why 179, which has a bunch of changes, was not considered significant, but I guess it wasn't. So we're on 486, right? Which is adding listing requirements for plenum cables. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we did 487. Now we're ready for 488. 488 is a SAM. So we're into SAMs. Yeah, they were in our original packet.
We're in this pile of paper.
Well, I don't know. They're,
Online.
if you're looking at the matrix, they're linked.
Click it.
Yeah. You're able to put them up?
Where we need our chief.
Well, this is the one that allows splicing of multiple grounding conductors using crimp connectors in underground installations. Difficult mechanical connectors are listed but difficult to use and not always effective. This alternative method ruling applies only to copper equipment grounding conductors used for traffic signals and street lighting. The copper-only barrel-type connector shall be carefully selected for the proper size. Use of a proper dieless crimping tool is required. Inspector shall verify the effectiveness of the connection by checking the crimp for loose conductors. I was trying to figure out if we couldn't just amend the code, or 250, but seemed like there's a lot in that ruling that would be hard to put into the code language, so. And I'm assuming this is still a problem with street lighting and traffic signals.
Motion carry forward.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then 489 is 1802. This is The one that says that if you put a meter base on a post, it's not a structure. And I had a
copy of that.
I read it. I wondered if we couldn't modify the definition of a structure by adding other than a post or a pole with a meter base attached to it. To get rid of this. But it's a good interpretation. You think about that idea. You look at the definition of structure. Just to get rid of. Problem with that?
Make it more easier to find and figure out.
Laura's making noises over there. My subtly.
There's a
detecting-
definition.
Hmm?
Isn't there a definition in the OSSC?
There is. And there's also a definition in electrical code, which that it just says that which is built or constructed other than equipment. It'd say other than equipment or and, other than equipment and a post or pole with a meter base attached to it. And we just would not need this interpretation. Is that an or an and? Other than equipment and a post? Or a post? Okay. So we're creating a new amendment here, getting rid of an interpretation. You working on that over there? We'll keep going. When you get it, let us see what you did. The next one is 1501. And this is has to do with the 3 and 4 wire connections to ranges and dryers. And there were changes made to 250-140 to address the problem of the problem that they were addressing was when solar or alternative energy systems were attached to a residence and a new service was built, the service panel is now a sub panel, and that meant that these range and dryer circuits were no longer in compliance. And so it was amended to address that. And I don't know if it addresses our concern or not. I looked at it and I thought that it may not be needed. So what we said is that if a branch circuit serving a range of dryer is not equipped with a grounding conductor, the existing branch circuit should be replaced with one containing an equipment grounding conductor in the following. If the appliance has a nameplate rating greater than the branch circuit, obviously. If the existing branch circuit and panel board are readily accessible due to remodel or other circumstance. Not required if a new appliance is equipped with a cord and plug assembly suitable for the existing receptacle. Change the cord and plug, I guess. Or the branch circuit's extension is within 5 feet of the previous receptacle locations and practical reach panel board. Or if there's a service change resulting in the new existing panel board now being used as a sub panel, if this is the case, that's the circumstance that is now addressed in 140.
On 140B, it talks about SE cable, service entrance cable, doesn't talk
Can
about.
you speak a little louder?
I'm sorry. On 240 or 250, 140B, when it's talking about that, it just lists SE service entrance cable, where most of our applications are going to be NM cable. Is that going to be an issue?
Well, the grounded conductor is insulated or it's part of an SE cable. So if you had an uninsulated grounded conductor, we're talking about the grounded conductor, not the
Right, going to the Ranger, or the
not the
dryer.
equipment grounded conductor, but the grounded conductor is the neutral.
You're able to use an NM cable unless it has an insulated.
Neutral.
Would be for an existing installation, right? That's what this
Yeah.
interpretation is for an existing installation that is a 3-wire. So we have 2 hots and we're using the grounding conductor as a grounded conductor on ranges and on the old 3-wire system.
Yeah.
And this allows us to just tape it and land it on the neutral bar. But you think that's already handled with the new verbiage?
No, because I think that it's saying it has to be insulated.
Or field covered?
It either has to be insulated or it has to be uninsulated and part of an SE type cable. So I think if you ran just a 2-wire Romex with a grounded conductor, you would not be able to use it. Does this allow us to do that? I haven't not seen that very often. But
It doesn't allow us for new. This is for existing. If we change it,
this 250, 140 is also for B is also for existing.
correct. They're just listing SE cable. And they say that you can tape the field cover within the supply enclosure with listed insulating materials such as tape sleeve. So they're allowing you to tape that bare conductor. But I'm just asking if it's limiting it to SE type cable only. And our normal older installations would not be SE, it's going to be an NM cable that would have gone to the dryer. Correct, or am I wrong?
I've never seen that.
I've
never seen an NM.
Go to a dryer.
NM2.
NM2, yeah.
Yeah,
But uninsulated.
yeah. I've never.
It's always 90% of them are aluminum SE cable.
Yeah, that's what I always thought too, was aluminum SE cable or a 3-wire Romex. Who may not have had an equipment grounded conductor back in the day. They didn't know this.
It was insulated.
These people buy it without it.
Okay.
But it was insulated.
This kind of dates me, but I can remember running a 10-2 with ground back, years ago to the dryer, and that's how you did it, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And then we went to a 10-3 without ground.
You're not older than me and I never did it that way. So,
Yeah.
but you're right. If they have that, this would not work. Where I think our what is this? Our code interpretation would allow them to leave it. If that's a concern, then we probably just want to leave this alone. I don't know why they limited it to SC cable. Maybe because the insulation is, wasn't on the little subcommittee that did this, and I wasn't too thrilled with what they did, but the PI for next cycle. I don't know what the difference between an SC cable and an NM in terms of protection of that conductor. So we want to just renew this one then?
I would think so.
Okay.
For clarity.
Yeah. Okay, so all those in favor of approving talking about SI 1501, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And for the next one, 9-01, I think we already voted to retain that. The disconnecting means for HVAC system. Next one is 1903, which is the one for agricultural buildings. I think that we probably want to retain this. So I wondered, with a note, is this still needed with Oregon amendment that we did to 547-44A? And that the reference, the code reference in this, in the statewide code interpretation is incorrect. B 547.10. Notes to self, so. In the 2021 cycle, we did an amendment. Well, I remember I worked on this one with Keith, and I think the determination that came from you know, the upper level was that really wasn't a matter to be enforced in the state building code. It's up to the owner to design. We probably want to leave this one alone, but the first statement where it says as stated in Article 547.10, I think that might have moved.
547.44.
That's what it should be now.
I think so.
44, yeah. What if we change where required in 547.44A? Equipotential planes shall be required. What if we put shall be permitted?
Yeah. Well, we probably would want to use our language where requested by the property owner or something like that. But see, even then, the interpret says if they decide they want to do it, they get to decide which areas to apply it. I would hesitate to tweak this without Keith, because I know he's had, well, it's probably you that he's been talking to most of it. He has had a lot of issues with this. But I do think that in the interpret out where it says refers to 547.10, it could be referring to 547.44 throughout. So yeah, if we're not going to retain this, we're going to have to wait for Keith, because he's had a lot of issues with this. We can just retain it. All those in favor of retaining it?
Aye.
Okay,
With the amendment, right?
yeah. Okay, then the next one, 493. Note says, why is this still needed? Well, I said in my notes, why is this needed? 547.5 has moved. These are both questions. So, So this says essentially that if just because it's an agricultural building doesn't mean that this requirement the conditions in 406.9B are present. I think that's what this is trying to say. This is another one that it refers to 547.5 in the top part. The condition, and that section no longer exists.
That'd be dot 23 now,
Is that right?
possibly.
At 47.5. Probably. That got moved, I think.
Box that
Was it the damp locations? Because, I mean, I don't know. Refer to 406. The I'm not sure what, which part of 547.5 was being referenced there, because it had a lot of sections to it. Would be damp locations.
Yeah, I think.
Because that's why you would need a receptacle box hood, because it's damp.
Purposes, it's only required at 406.
For 6.9B is wet locations. Yeah. I think that is the right reference. So that should probably be 547.23 instead of .5 up there at the top of it. And I don't know, I mean, whatever led to this controversy that, or some folks thought that because it was an agricultural building, it was by definition damp or wet, probably still exists. So we probably still need this interpretation. People are still going to ask that question. So I would suggest that we retain this. Any discussion? None, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the next one is 94. Is,
We moved to keep it.
did we do that when we did for, I said, my notes says C375 first.
Yeah, motion to keep it. Table. Do it again now.
Wait a minute.
375.
On 3, we're on. Oh, this is Article 625. Yes, we did vote to retain this man factor for electric vehicles. Okay, so now we're on 495, right? Is the solar connections to feeders. And,
No,
no,
cable supply circuit, G5 protect.
Vehicles.
okay. Did we address this already?
Thought we did something like this.
62554.
If they were GFI protected, we didn't have to GFI protect.
We did not adopt 625.54. We
No.
just didn't adopt it. So the ground fault protection for personnel. And not required. So that means we don't need this, right?
Right. Yeah.
It was more administrative in nature when we created it.
Say it again?
It was more administrative in nature whenever we created. So we probably don't need it anymore.
2201.
Right, so
Yeah.
the motion's gonna be not to retain.
Yeah, it was not administrative. It said you don't have to comply with,
It was, yeah, because of the adoption and the TIA.
well,
It was weird.
yeah. Okay, so motion is to not retain. So 2201. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Send that. And then the last one, 496, we retained it so, already. Yeah. Okay, then that's the end of that. Why don't we take a break? Everybody back? Ready? Ready, Laura? Nate? Okay. We have a couple of things to clean up that we didn't quite finish. One is we had decided to delete the SI in item 489, which is one about meter bases on poles, and just modify the definition of structure. And Laura's got it up there. So what we want to do is we want to say that which is built or constructed other than equipment or post or pole, or a post or pole with a meter base attached. Attached is that?
Touched or mounted to it.
Yeah.
Would we,
Like attached with a poster pole attached?
Through chair with an attached meter base?
With an attached meter base? Hard.
oh,
How about other than a post or pole with equipment attached?
No.
No?
What if it's got an all-in-one on it? And then it's got to meet all the grounding requirements, so it's a structure. This is to say that you don't have to put a grounding electrode when you put a meter base on a post.
Oh, just the meter base.
what, post this question for the inspectors, what about an installation for like a custom home that a customer wants the 400 amp meter base mounted, and we put two 4x4 posts side by side, treated something or other, and they put a little roof on it. It's actually two posts instead of one post. It's still the same theory. There's no overcurrent device, it's just a meter base. The question is, would we put parentheses S on those? Post or post? I could see an inspector saying, well, you have two posts there, so now it's a structure. You guys wouldn't do that here, I know that.
Give a simple view.
Well, then get rid of the word A. So it would be, or post or pole, or I don't know. I never know when you do that parentheses A, the parentheses S, do you treat it like they're singular or you treat them like posts or poles with an attached meter base? Attached meter base, that seems okay. Everybody knows what that means. Okay, does that sound good? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's scroll down to 110.20, Laura, please. This thing needs a little help. The way we've got it written now, it's like 110.20, is that right? Yeah, we've got, the way we've got it written now, it says, or that are designed by by an engineer experienced in the design or supervising electrician of replacement parts. But this doesn't make sense. So I propose that we edit it to say that equipment that's restored to operating condition shall be reconditioned with identified replacement parts verified under applicable standards that are either provided by the original equipment manufacturer, comma, that are designed by an engineer experienced in the design of replacement parts for the type of equipment being reconditioned, comma, or selected by the supervising electrician. I think that's probably what everybody thought that said before, but it didn't really say that. So, okay, all those in favor of that slight change?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's everything I've got in the matrix and table 1U. Does anybody have anything else?
You're gonna reopen, well, I was proposing to reopen 490 and talk some more about that.
Okay, a motion to reopen 490, which is the, it's the SAM on
Yeah.
ranges and stuff. All those in favor of reopening it?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, have at it, Jim. It's open. Go ahead.
Well, I think we were going to talk about that because I came back and was talking to the chairman about years ago. It wasn't 10-2 with ground. It was a 10-3 without a ground. And so I'm questioning if we need to kind of relook at this a little bit.
So the point being that in 250.140, the language that's in there now, which talks about, which requires an insulated grounded conductor, would be present in the 10.3 without ground, which is what that's what I remember using.
Yes.
Yeah,
Back when I was
right.
a young fella.
I did too, but I didn't know it.
So in that case, can we get rid of this statewide code interpretation because it's now covered in 250.140, and I think that it is, but I'm not completely positive. So
5. E5 gets us.
I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff in this interpretation. So it says you don't have to replace the existing branch circuit if the new appliance is equipped with a three-wire cord and plug, if the branch circuit extension is within 5 feet of the previous receptacle location. So 250.140 doesn't talk about extensions. So that would not be covered. And then the service change is covered. So if we're worried about circuit extensions, we would still need this, although we could simplify this. Or we could just say you can't do a circuit extension. Want to do a circuit extension. I don't know why we would want to say that. I think that in the answer, the number 2, the second number 2, or it's not required, that is not captured in 250.1. We would lose that. So that's I mean, that gave them a little bit of latitude to do a kitchen remodel without tearing the whole house down.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
We do a lot of those.
So we could either rewrite it. Let's leave it alone. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't conflict with what's in 250-140. And we can suggest, why don't we suggest to the chief that we rewrite that one to make it consistent with 250-140. Because it's kind of redundant and it might be confusing. I don't think they conflict, but maybe they do when you really read it very carefully, which people will do. Okay, so we'll leave it alone. Okay. Technically, we have to close it again, but we won't worry about that. This was the NFPA. We have to, sure, would have to do something with it. It's now open. So. Okay. Did anybody actually write panel statements? If you did actually do anything, just raise your hands just so I get a sense. You did something. Okay, I did something. Nobody else did. Okay, I would suggest that I'm talking to Laura about this before the meeting started about what's our responsibility and what is the division's responsibility. I think that what I'd like to do is appoint a subcommittee of the three of us that actually did this, and we'll take this ball and carry it forward. When it gets done, we'll circulate it, and if anybody has any problems with it, you can let us know, but I don't think you will. It's just really an attempt to capture what our thinking was, and it's not going to be efficient to try to do that now. It's really a pretty big project. I started to do it and got about, I think I got through Article 210, and it was 9:30. So that being the case, yeah.
Just a suggestion. I'm not sure I'll even be around the next time this committee meets, but kind of make it more of a prerequisite when it starts, when the committee starts, and say, let's try to keep track of this as we go.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get to prepare for this meeting very as well as we have in the past because we didn't get that report from NFPA until really late. We were just kind of jamming to get it done. But what we should do in the table 1E that's being circulated is have those comments right in it. We could do. Okay, anything else?
Would it be possible to get a Word document of so that we can, I added them on my little side notes, but it really got crowded and it'd be nice just to be able to put it underneath.
Put the comments.
Yeah.
Why don't you send that to Ryan, John, and me? Maybe we can have a conference call or something and talk about how we want to do this. You know, I was thinking about putting it in a Google Docs or something, collaborative thing. Try to coordinate, normalize what three people are doing. I'll reach out to you. Bye.
Chair, I have a feeling you're about to close this meeting, so I'd just like to make a statement. First, I'd like to thank staff for their hard work and preparedness for this meeting. I'd like to thank all you guys for your professionalism and the ability to get along and make good code for the state of Oregon. And I'd like us all to give Nathan a hand for his hard work. You can see the extra mile he went, making sure and checking corrections. And you know, I did some when I could, and I know some of us did, but we're all busy people. He actually went in the extra mile and did a little bit more, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate his work on this committee. So I'd like to give him a hand.
Well, obviously, it's not a one-person job, so we can do it without. This is a great committee. This is, like I said, we've had really, no real passionate, emotional arguments, which makes it a lot easier. And I think we will ask, as we have in the past, that we all get code change credit. Well, we don't have to take a code change class. I think it's actually, yeah, and then also the administrative rules. I think we know those pretty well. This is about as deep a dive on code changes you could possibly make, I think. Thank you guys all for this. It was really pretty good. It was a little bit hair-raising at times trying to keep track of everything. Well, I guess we're done. Anybody have anything else? Thank you.